try to show me X without a victim, maybe racist. Just because I'm human, they don't want my help. It seems it doesn't really matter if your superpower's fire to the melt.
Fine. I was gonna say something like Wonder Woman we could briefly go over because the only thing I cared about was Cheetah, and she looks cool.
All right, so I guess 3 or 4 seconds, and then I'll intro.
Oh, I thought that was the intro.
Oh, well, we can make this the intro. I don't really care.
This is a whatever.
So we're
show.
talking about DC Fandome, which is kind of a terrible name. I think. I think they could do better. For like, although I do think overall as an experience, I think it worked really well. Like this digital thing they did.
I think that's how DC should do that from now on, is like give the fans a little something like virtual like this, because this was kind of really cool.
Yeah, it also sets them apart from Disney and what they do with like D23 and
also sets you apart from Comic-Con, which sucked this year.
I mean, like, this only exists because there is no Comic-Con, and there are no conventions, and there's no, like, whatever.
Yeah. But I think it says, like, they don't, which we've kind of been knowing is, like, the big two don't need Comic-Con, and I don't mind them leaving it, because then maybe Comic-Con will be, like, you could actually go to them, like, the 2 big ones.
Yeah, that would be nice.
So, we're gonna, let's start off with the movies. Like
also, who are we?
Oh, I'm Lou Gonzalez. I'm joined by the Double Johns.
I figured I was like, we haven't introduced ourselves, so like, who are we?
I'm a little tipsy after watching SummerSlam. SummerSlam ended like 2 minutes ago.
Was that the Thunderdome thing, or no?
It was the second show under the Thunderdome.
How they're able to use that name, I'm astounded.
so many domes this weekend.
SummerSlam was like actually, I think, like a pretty fun show. They had like some really cool like shots, but like it still has like some kind of like old problems with like the camera cutting like every like 2 to 5 seconds.
I saw their like crowd thing is so bad. Like the squares that they don't cut them out is so goofy.
Yeah, I thought it, like, when I first saw it, like, as a still, I thought it would be, like, a sensory overload, but it's, like, not as bad when you see it, like, in motion, but it's, like, kind of funny when you see, like, I don't know, there was, like, someone who had, like, a Pikachu, like, in their, like, little screen thing, and there were, like, people who were, like, trying to get themselves over, like, there was, like, a guy who kept on, like, having, like, a doodad that he would like hold up and would have like whatever sayings. Like at one point he had a Fire Velveteen Dream. There was like a guy who looked like one of the gorillas of Destiny from like New Japan Pro Wrestling. But yeah, yep. I mean, like, hey, like the show looks, I feel like a little bit better than it, or a lot better than it used to, like when they were doing it out of the Performance Center. But at the same time, it's like you still have kind of the same stories. You still have the same kind of like, you know, quote unquote cinematography. You know, and it's like if the stories aren't good and the cinematography is not good, then it's like it's not a fun show. Yeah. But like SummerSlam was like not great, but or like SmackDown wasn't great, but SummerSlam was a good show.
All right. So we'll talk about the other dome. So Fandome. Let's start, I guess, with the thing that should have come out 6 months ago. At this point, Wonder Woman 84. We got a new trailer with the reveal, basically of Cheetah, like full-on Cheetah, and I guess we kind of get a little bit more of plot in this trailer, but Kristen Wiig looks good.
I mean, really, the big sell here is that Kristen Wiig, you finally get to see her as Cheetah, and she looks great.
Yeah, it'll be better once it's like a full like a trailer they release. Like I feel like, I don't know, maybe it was the version I saw. It was like they were still kind of hiding, like, I want to see what her face looks like in the CG.
Well, I think that's what they were doing. I don't think the CG was done yet in terms of her face.
Well, it should be if that movie was supposed to come out 6 months ago.
Or maybe they're tweaking it. I don't know. It can't be worse than Cats.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, like, the very early thing that we should probably also talk about is, like, for Suicide Squad, for Black Adam, for Batman, for this, was a lot of coming soon, like no release date. Like a lot of it was
no Suicide Squad and the Batman have a release date.
Yes,
like that trailer though just said in theaters. Like there was no solid release date. Like they have a release date, but that trailer also
Yeah, it
said
has the question mark things.
in theaters whenever.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they said Suicide Squad is August 6th, and The Batman, I think, is October of next year. So,
yeah, and that can all change because we don't know what's going to happen. I would say the next smallest thing would probably be the Black Adam one, because it was an animatic.
The one last thing about Wonder Woman 1984 is like that movie, like, I don't know, has to come out soonish, because like I think like also it's like watching that trailer, it's like very evident that I don't know, the take on Maxwell Lord is very much a Trumpian Gordon Gekko, style kind of character, and like not to get political, fellas, but man, like I can't imagine like a film like Wonder Woman 1984 coming out after the election.
Yeah, I wonder what they'll do streaming. Like, I guess maybe they could put it on HBO Max at some point.
Well, hey, listen, theaters are open to back up, so they could still have it out by October.
Yeah, man. There's some theaters about 30 to 35 miles away from me that are running New Mutants. It comes out on Friday, and like, I don't know
about
you guys.
I don't think about biting the bullet.
I want to see New Mutants.
I know Ryan will do it, and I know you'll do it.
It's
if
like
there was
funny.
one I could find.
It's like really funny that the advertising for New Mutants is the New Mutants are dangerous. I'm like, yeah, it is, because I don't want to get coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
I love that the other promo advertising is New Mutants is coming out this Friday. Yes, really, it's coming out this Friday. We can't believe it either.
So yeah, like I said, I think the next one would be like the Black Adam. I thought it was interesting. We got kind of a sort of plot reveal, and then I think the more shocking thing is the JSA is involved.
You got like barely a plot reveal. I think the bigger thing here is the JSA reveal.
Yeah, so it's Hawkman, Dr. Fate,
Cyclone, Atom Smasher confirmed.
Atom Smasher. Which, like, Cyclone is like a really kind of cool like idea, because Cyclone was created for the Jeff Johns run. Like, she's a legacy character, if I remember right.
Isn't she like a redo, kind of like Black Lightning from that Hanna-Barbera Super Friends character?
No,
Do you know which character I'm talking about? The Asian guy who spins?
It is not. If I remember right, she is the daughter of Ma Hinkle, who is like the old lady who kind of like takes care of everyone in the Justice League Center. Okay, so she's Maxine Hunkle, the granddaughter of the original Red Tornado, and Ma Hunkle, an honorary member of the Justice League and current caretaker of the headquarters. And she like grew up allying the Justice League. So like you have like Dr. Fate and who is
Hawkman?
And Hawkman as like the old like kind of like Legion members, and then you have like Atom Smasher and like Cyclone as like possibly like the new rookies of the JSA. Yeah,
I get like it'll be interesting to see. It's kind of strange that we've gotten this is our third live action Hawkman and like our like fourth time with dealing like where Dr. Fate is like kind of teased or live actiony, because Constantine and Stargirl have both had Dr. Fate stuff.
So I really do appreciate though that in both now Black Adam and Suicide Squad they're kind of pulling more in the obscure kind of area. Minus Hawkman and Dr. Fate, but like their Suicide Squad especially has some deep cuts.
Hawkman and Dr. Fate are kind of deep cuts too. They're like surface level deep cuts, but they're still kind of deep.
I think that's like when you get to the JSA, like they're all deep cuts. Like it's fun because I think Hawkman is a deeper cut to like the general consensus of
than Hawkgirl or Hawkwoman.
Hawkgirl. Like if it
because
was
of the
Hawkgirl,
cartoon, right?
Exactly. Like, I mean, at least to me, and and like, if there's like anything to go by when they had Hal Jordan be the Green Lantern for the movies, and there was like a pretty large contingent of people who are like, well, why?
Well, I agree with you. Like, that's why she was the main Hawk that they used in the really bad first season of Legends of Tomorrow. Is Hawkgirl, and Hawkman just gets killed 6 times in the season.
Mm-hmm. Because I mean that's Hawkman's deal. It's like he's all about resurrection.
But I think it's interesting. It's basically like they're the good heroes, and Black Adam is like, I don't know, he's like the hardcore, like,
Yeah,
they're kind of vague on it, but like I guess he's just like more brutal.
It's like kind of funny because it's like Black Adam, I think, is like the very kind of like first point that they've done so far where I mean, like Venom, I think you could maybe argue Venom being the first, but I think the narrative of Venom is that, you know, Venom at the end of the day is fighting bad versions of himself. So like he's a good guy at the end of the day. Like Black Adam, like in the
He's
trailer,
not a good guy.
it's like, hey man, like I was a slave, I was part of a utopia, but like not everyone was part of that utopia, and like I got power, I tried to bring it to the people, and I was fought against for it. And it's like very much like he centered himself as like not a bad guy, but like a victim of like what the situation was. But within the construct of this film, it's like very much dictated that he is a bad guy. And I think like it's kind of interesting that there hasn't been like a film like that. Like and I'm not even counting like the Joker, because the Joker is like so far outside of like the realm of like what everyone else is trying to do. Like this, the Black Adam film is trying to play within the play set of like everything else.
Yeah.
And I would say to tie into that, we got the title for Shazam 2 revealed.
Shazam! Fury of the Gods.
Yes,
Yeah.
I guess Sinbad's gonna be in it? Question mark. Which I hope is true, because that's
I think
amazing.
I think that they said that, they confirmed that, which is awesome.
Is Sinbad the voice of Takitani?
That would actually be hilarious. I just like, based on the title, I'm like, oh, is he going to be fighting like the gods that make up Shazam?
He's going to fight Mr. Mind.
But then what does the title imply?
I don't know, man.
Gods that are furious. So maybe Vin Diesel's gonna come down from the heavens. I don't know.
At the end of the day, I just want to see Mr. Mind like in a film be a main antagonist, because like that shit would be wild.
I mean, Shazam, so I could easily see them do it.
Yeah, they already showed him. So the next thing was The Flash, which we didn't really get much. They haven't filmed it. We got concept art.
We've got teases of what the idea is going to be. Like, we know that, like Blue said, concept art. We got a new suit we're getting that Bruce Wayne Ben Affleck has built for him.
And then an official image that has Michael Keaton's Batman behind.
That's not official. That's also concept art.
Well, I mean, like, it's official. It's not fan art. Like, it's official concept art. It's not Affleck Batman that's drawn. I would say the other thing was like that it's still happening and Ezra's still the Flash, because I guess like whatever that thing was that happened, just like I don't know, like, it disappeared.
Well, like I like to this day, it's like I kind of still don't know if that was like a real thing or performative art or like what it was, but
it literally just vanished.
I also completely forgot that Annie Machete was like the guy that was like finally stayed after like the gauntlet of like actor or like the directors that like
to recap, we've had Seth Grahame-Smith, Rick Famuyiwa, we had John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein, and then Andy Muschietti. I
really wish the director of Dope would have stayed on, but
I think his version was why Iris was going to stay, but then she left too. But she's going to be in Snyder Cut, which we'll get to in a second. But
but I think with Andy Muschietti, I think Andy Muschietti has like he's a guy who did It, Chapter 1, and 2. I'll get to it. Like, It Chapter 1 was a huge success, and basically, like, based off of that, he had like a bunch of offers. Like he got an offer to do Robotac. I think he got an offer to do Attack on Titan.
I think he is doing Attack on Titan.
He definitely got like the thing for Robotech, because I remember being at the panel for that. But I think
he's doing Attack on Titan. He's also doing a remake of The Howling for Netflix, and he was attached to a film version of film version of the book Dracula. Pretty much of Dracula. He was going to do a new version of Dracula.
Yeah. So, but then like It Chapter 2 came out, and I feel like that movie kind of came and went in a way that like It Chapter 1 was like a kind of a cultural phenomenon, and then 2 just like kind of like was like, oh, like it's a film, like it's not bad.
I kind of like It Chapter 2 more. Maybe that's because it's the first novel I've seen where it's like, okay, cool, you actually leaned into King's full-blown weirdness. Okay.
Yeah. But I feel like after It Chapter 2, like Andy Muschietti is like definitely like a guy who's like needs to kind of like bounce back, and like hopefully like The Flash is like that kind of like, you know, concept and character and story that he can kind of like really kind of bounce back from.
He did confirm that you're gonna see the Speed Force in this movie.
Yes.
Well, I hope so. It's a Flash movie.
Well, I think that ties into, and we could spin into the Snyder Cut, because it seems like in the trailer we got, which had a whole bunch of new footage, we see something that might be the Speed Force in it.
Yeah, and which by the way, you guys, of all the things that did come out for this, like this is like the one trailer I did not see. Like I've seen clips of it or like images of it, but I was just like
I did see it, and I gotta say I'm excited to see, because this is all new footage. Like this is all.
I saw it too, and I was kind of down on it earlier. This actually kind of brought me up, because we see it's like very Flash and Cyborg heavy, where it's like, oh, they're not just thrown in there; they actually have story.
Because I think that was Snyder's intention, was to have cyborgs be your emotional crux of the movie.
It makes sense. He has a fucking horrible backstory, and like we barely touch it in the theatrical cut. And then we also get a sort of look at the better looking what the fuck is his name? The villain.
Darkseid.
We get Darkseid, but the other villain.
Because I was gonna say, like, maybe it's like my eyes are just super fucked up, and maybe I'm just like dumb. But like, I saw Darkseid, and I was like, and then I was like, I pulled up a photo or like an image of Steppenwolf on Google, and I was just like, I honestly don't see the difference between these two. Like, they kind of both look like bad in a way.
Well, they're like CGI monstrosities. But I don't know if that stuff is done, because that's what the digital effects they had to go back for. The other thing we got was there's a hooded figure, which might be Desaad, which I thought was actually the most interesting to show. Because he's probably a better character. He's a better character than Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf's fucking...
Yeah.
Well, because he's just a big, like, monster... Well, the current version, he's a big monster tank. The old school version, he's, like, dressed like Robin Hood, and he's a douche. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of a little excited. It's going to be 4 parts.
4 hours, baby.
Yeah. So.
Oh my god.
So I did say I did want to do I talked about this in the chat.
Like, by the way, it's like if this was like the original intent of Justice League, like no way it was supposed to be like 4 hours.
Yeah, I think it's his cut, but it's also like basically uncut. It's just everything.
Yes. And then the other thing I thought was interesting was that they came out, I guess when they were like, HBO Max's Twitter was like hyping up, Snyder Cut's happening, it's really happening. And someone had said like, oh man, I wish we could see like the sequel to this. And HBO Max said 1 step at a time. So
God,
what sequel?
Oh, Snyder had a whole trilogy planned.
Yeah.
But it's like at that point, I would just see DC release like a comic book that's basically like
his script, like the stuff we've been reading.
Yeah, Justice League.
I don't know if this does well. If this does well, there is a good possible chance.
Absolutely not. I would put money on it that this.
Affleck I don't think he would come back, and he's like a crux of that. And I don't know if Henry Cavill would come back.
He's coming back for Flash, so
I bet you it's like a scene, and he's not in the suit.
Also, I do want to give a quick shout out to my friend Nicole. She is the one who helped run Fandome, or not Fandome, excuse me, Justice Con. She got everyone together. She filmed her reaction to the Snyder Cut trailer, and she's been at the forefront of this whole Snyder Cut movement for like 2-3 years. So congrats to her on finally seeing all this come true.
I mean, like, I'm glad that the people who are excited for the Snyder Cut are excited. But like, I just like, I don't get it. It's like
it's a weird situation.
Like Justice League, Justice League came out it was a film. Like, oh, look, man, like, I don't like Man of Steel. I don't like Batman v Superman. So, like, I'm already coming from a place that, like, I'm already just, like, not wanting the goods that Batman is selling for a superhero film. And that's on top of, like, him, like, coming out on Twitter and basically being like, I'm making a film for adults. And it's, like, it just comes off like he comes off like such a baby. And I just don't...
I disagree. From what I've read, this guy's been going on him for a while, so...
It's like he's like
I don't mind going back at like a Twitter troll. It's just like,
I don't either.
That specific like mentality of like I'm making stuff for the grown-ups is what I don't like.
But that guy didn't even come back after a Twitter troll. Like that was a guy who was like a writer for a site.
Who I guess has gone after Snyder in the past, from what I did my research into. So,
but like gone after Snyder in like what way? That he had an unfavorable like review of Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
Like I had a friend who like last night was watching Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back or whatever like the new Jay and Silent Bob movie was, and he wrote on Twitter, "I don't like this movie. It's not very good. I thought it was pretty joyless. Like I did not have fun." And someone snitch tagged Kevin Smith in like his review of the movie, which like the original poster never like tagged Kevin Smith at all, and then Kevin Smith like wrote a whole tweet about how like, well, you didn't like it and you thought it was joyless, but like look at all the people who went and saw this movie and had a good time. And then I had to deal like all of today and all of last night with like people like in his mentions about how he's a shithead and he should die and he should like get fucked up. So like when I hear people like have an agenda against like a certain director, like most of the time I just hear like they just had an unfavorable reaction to something they made.
All right, but I would be curious if Zach has got the okay to do his sequel. I would love to see what happened.
Yeah. Well, we could move on to a movie that is happening with, and that's the Suicide Squad. Which that's the last theatrical movie to talk about, I think, right?
No, the Batman.
The Batman.
Oh yes, okay, we'll save the Batman side. So and basically, we didn't get a trailer. We got some behind the scenes. We got like a really cool banter from everybody. We got basically what everybody looks like. The only person we didn't hear from is the comedian that's doing the voice of King Shark, although we got to see what their King Shark looks like, and from just that image, you can tell the tone of the character.
Steve Agee as King Shark.
He was the only one not on the panel. And I think in the what we saw, we did not see that voice either.
So
King Shark talk.
Yeah. So quick rundown. We have Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, returning, along with Joel Kidman as Rick Flag, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, and Jai Courtney as Kevin Boomerang.
That's everyone. The only good one, well, okay, Joel Kinnaman aside, but that's all the good ones from the last movie.
So those are the only returning, and then we have Dave Dashelman, who people will know from
every other comic book thing.
Yeah, Ant-Man and Ant-Man the Wasp as like one of the side
the Dark
guys.
Knight.
He's the Baba Yaga guy.
Yeah, he's the Baba Yaga guy.
He's the guy in the Dark Knight.
Yeah, he was in Flash. He was what the hell is his name? The Wizard
Abracadabra.
From the Future? Abracadabra.
Yeah, so he'll be playing the Polka Dot Man. Steve Agee is playing King Shark. Daniela Machenor will be Ratcatcher 2, which I think is like really interesting that they call her Ratcatcher 2. Because I feel like that's a very comic book thing where it's like, oh, they're the second iteration of like, X character, like they're the second version, which I thought was like kind of like a pretty fun like little nod. John Cena as Peacemaker, Flua Borg as Javelin, Nathan Fillion as
TDK.
Fall,
it says,
which is the Fall Armoff boy, who is like a Legionnaire character. Mei Ling Nung as Mongal. Pete Davidson from Doctor Who as Blackguard.
Wait, Pete Davidson from Doctor Who.
Oh, Peter Capaldi, sorry. Pete Davidson as Blackguard. I'm like reading ahead. Sean Gunn as Weasel. Alice Braga as Sol Sarah, which I guess is also like the sister of a character that's in the current run or was in the most current run of Suicide Squad.
Yeah, and Mongal is Mongol's sister.
Yep. Peter Capaldi as the Thinker, Idris Elba as Bloodsport, who very much looks like Judge Death in that like.
And I have to say, he's the only one that we know anything about from this movie because he is in prison for shooting Superman with a kryptonite bullet. That's the only thing we know.
And then Michael Rooker as
comic book stuff.
And then Michael Rooker as Savant, who was a character during Gail Simone's Birds of Prey run.
Now, I have to say, out of all of these characters, my ones I'm most looking forward to seeing is Capaldi, because I think that's perfect casting.
Oh, you missed one person. Sean Gunn is Weasel, which is...
No, I said Sean Gunn as Weasel.
Oh, you said Sean Gunn? Okay.
Sean Gunn is Weasel because that looks hilarious. That sounds like it's going to be funny.
He basically just looks like R-rated, grungy, gross version of Rocket Raccoon.
Mm-hmm.
And then, okay, so Capaldi, him. Pete Davidson as Blackguard is a what the fuck casting, which I'm kind of in for.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he's going to get his head exploded like 3 seconds into the movie.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to be Slipknot.
Well, I think there's like a handful of these people that do dive like very early on. Like I think.
Oh, I definitely think.
Like I think Polka Dot Man, Ratcatcher 2, Peacemaker, King Shark, Thinker, Bloodsport,
and Weasel.
And Sol Saraya, I think like they kind of like survive throughout most of the film.
And I think Weasel survives too because we stand Weasel in this house.
Look, I like Flua Borg, but like I don't think him as Chaplin sticks around for very long.
You forgot another one. You have Storm Reed from Wrinkle in Time as Elba's daughter.
Yeah. Well, she's not. They did not bring her up in the.
No, she was in the Q&A panel, so she's still there.
Okay.
Oh, and Taika Waititi was not there. We have no idea who he's.
No, he'll be dead within like the first couple minutes, though.
Wait, Taika Waititi's in that movie?
Yes.
Oh, that's.
Didn't they confirm the villain is Starro?
Yes, the villain is. If Taika Waititi voices Starro,
that's what I think it is. I think he might be Starro.
Oh, that's super funny.
That would be amazing.
Because they've named everybody else, and that's the only character, and like he would be perfect.
But I think like this is like a really neat project because I think like when they first announced all the actors who were involved, we were all like kind of like, oh, like they'll be like this B-lister and this C-lister, and it's like for the most part they're all D-listers. Like I've never heard of Bloodsport or Blackguard.
Yeah, I've not heard of most of these minus Thinker and King Shark.
I've like Polka Dot Man is like a D-list Batman villain. I've never heard of Weasel. Thinker's probably the biggest name besides Harley Quinn.
No, I would say King Shark. King Shark.
I think King Shark.
King Shark's had like a. This is like the year of King Shark. He's in fucking everything now.
Look, man, all King Sharks are good King Sharks.
Yeah. But like, I would say like Polka Dot Man's kind of like it's like you have Harley Quinn, King Shark, the Thinker, and then like Polka Dot Man's like the next biggest name, or Captain Boomerang, and then Polka Dot Man, and then I'm like, I've not like Bloodsport's been in a couple of things, but like I've never heard of him.
I think Peacemaker survives throughout most of the film.
Oh, I think I think you can tell by whose costumes look better, like survive longer. At least that's like what I'm going into it thinking.
Yeah, I mean, like I think the Polka Dot Man looks really cool in that movie, and I think he kind of survives for a long time. But like, yeah, like I don't think Flua Borg, even though I like Flua Borg as a comedian, like I don't think he survives for too long.
I've never heard of him until today.
I think he's getting spit roasted by that javelin.
Like I think like Pete Davidson was like definitely not. I think there's a lot of people who hate Pete Davidson who would love to see Pete Davidson die in that movie.
I'll tell you right now. Also, I'm pretty sure James Gunn is going to find a way to just kill off Michael Rooker.
Yeah, like, and I like Savant as a character in the comic.
But just from the way they were all roasting him on the panel yesterday, I feel like he's gonna like take gleeful. I feel like that's his Bruce Campbell.
You know what would be awesome is if they do all this and it's just Idris Elba that dies immediately. It's just him.
But I think like all the costumes look really cool. Like Margot Robbie's like new outfit for Harley Quinn looks really great.
It looks better than anything she's had so far.
And I think we would kind of agree that the first Suicide Squad movie is like not good.
No, and I don't know if I want an Ayer cut, because that's why I also hear is going around the docket. I'm like, I don't know if I want that.
I can't imagine. Like, look, man. Like, I can kind of imagine like a Zack Snyder. Like, of all the things I've said about Zack Snyder as a creative, I can kind of imagine a Zack Snyder cut being like at least kind of interesting. Like, I can't imagine how you make Suicide Squad by David Ayer like a better movie. But like, I also think the bones of Justice League is like not good. Much like how I think the bones of Suicide Squad is not good. But like, Suicide Squad seems like more of a mess.
Also, John Cena as douchey Captain America, as he describes Peacemaker, sounds fantastic.
Yeah. That's what what's his name told him, like, oh, that's who you are. James Gunn told him. So yeah.
But like, I think Suicide Squad looks really good. It looks like a lot of fun.
We haven't even seen any footage. It's just the costumes we're going off of and the behind the scenes stuff.
But like, I think like that's also, it's like, you just look at the cast, you look at the characters that they're playing, you look at the director and the writer and the creative, and based off the history that these people have had with like characters in the past, you're like, oh, like what they're doing, like, I get it. Like, it looks really fun. Like, cool. Like, go and do whatever you want. Like, I'll be here for it whenever it comes out.
Mm-hmm. I think this is a good point to flip over, because we got a second Suicide Squad thing, which was Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. So this is...
We're talking Batman afterwards, I guess?
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot we got that movie. Yeah, let's talk... Sorry. Batman. The Batman? Is that what...
The Batman.
Oh,
baby.
It looks so fucking good. Like,
I think out of every movie shown, this was my favorite, because the fact that he was able to construct a trailer out of only 30% of the footage he shot is kind of amazing in itself.
Yeah, and it's like the suit looks fucking cool, the car looks fucking cool, and I think it's
the voice sounds cool. The voice,
it's funny. It's funny because like the first time I saw the outfit, it kind of looked like a suit that was like kind of like almost like too big for him. Like a suit that like it was like his like a son wearing his dad's clothes. But like I watched the trailer like a couple more times. I was like, you know what? Like I dig the suit. It's not bad. Like I wish they kind of like slimmed it a little bit more. But
well,
like,
I think they said the idea is that like it's kind of just thrown together.
Yeah, like this movie is only taking place in year 2.
So that's why like it's kind of, it's still like early. He's not proto Batman. He's been Batman, which we get a lot. Like we see him. He has a connection with Gordon. He's there at a crime scene. Which is really cool because we've not seen that since like, you know, ever.
The Dark.
No, I mean like since 90s Batman. Like the
animated.
The bad Commissioner Gordon.
I mean, like, you know...
But no, I'm talking about, like, I think we're not seeing an active crime scene with other cops around. Like, we saw that in The Dark Knight, but, like, they even sent all the other cops away.
Yeah.
It's like, not since, like, the Joel Schumacher, Tim Burton Batman have we seen, like, Batman actively, like, working with the cops and being, like, a pillar of, like, the community.
And I think that's my other thing that why I'm so excited about is that we're seeing finally Batman be a detective. Like, I feel like we have not seen Batman be a proper goddamn detective.
And this
while.
I think I'd like to tie into something we'll talk about. Like, it's heavily influenced by Long Halloween. It appears that we're having the Riddler take the place of Calendar Man.
No, Holiday Man.
I don't remember. A shitty character.
Calendar Man is like
Calendar Man was the one in prison. Holiday was the serial killer.
He's the Holiday killer, but then he becomes he's Calendar Man.
Which, like, I hope that Calendar Man is, like, a character in this movie.
We also got, which nobody noticed until people pointed out, that what's his name is Penguin is in that trailer.
Colin Farrell, and holy shit.
And he's unrecognizable.
Oh, like, people, that was, like, a big mystery, because, like, when I first saw him, like, I was like, oh, like, that's the Penguin, and I, like, looked it up, I'm like, oh, yeah, like, I remember Colin Farrell was, like...
Yeah, he does not look like Colin Farrell at all, though.
No,
whatever they do looks great.
But I think like the one that's like a big surprise is their take on the Riddler, who's like the duct tape killer.
It's been played around as a Batman movie storyline to have the Riddler be a serial killer.
Yeah, which I don't mind.
Like, this movie has a very Seven vibe, and I'm kind of here for it.
Yeah,
he works,
actually,
and
yeah.
that works.
And I'm not like entirely against the Riddler being like someone who's like not in a suit and coat. Because I think like Paul Dano will like do like a pretty good job, and the few like lines he's like spouting within the trailer, are, like, you know, pretty good Riddler talk about like how justice has a blind eye, and like is like a really cool line. And there's like that one Riddler, or like that one riddle that's in the trailer that's already been solved by people.
Yeah, I saw that. It's interesting. We also get to see like a glimpse of Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman.
You hear Andy Serkis.
Which looks great.
Yeah, her Catwoman. I like that it's just like a homemade kind of thrown together outfit.
Looks very year one Catwoman looking.
And yeah, I like everything we got to see, and like it all.
Did you guys like
really
watch like the panel beforehand where Matt Reeves was talking about the movie? Like how?
No, I
like,
did not see that.
That dude did his fucking research in terms of what he was influenced by, how he set things up, how he was like shooting things, why he's shooting in England and stuff like that. And I was at saying, like, this dude already did the research, so I'm sold.
Evidently, the Riddler's name in the movie is Edward Nashton,
which is great.
Sure. I mean, like I get,
like Edward Nashton better than Edward Nygma. That's
sure. Like, I mean, like you want to like try and step away like from like the punniness of a name, which is like, hey, it's like Victor Freeze. He's the Freeze guy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like
also,
I mean, like,
we haven't even seen John Turturro as Falcone yet.
Yeah, he's not in it. He's not in the trailer.
I thought he was the guy that gets killed in the. Like, he gets his like face wrapped up in duct tape.
I mean, it's possible, but I couldn't tell.
Yeah,
and just really quickly going
because I mean, like based off of like the articles that were around the house, they were all like Falcone like themed. So I just assumed that was like Carmine Falcone.
I also appreciate that we've gone this long talking about the Batman without mentioning the fact that Batman pretty much murdered somebody.
Well, he does what like Batman in the comics and most of the games, like he cripples somebody. But like, he also does it,
punches the guy, then keeps punching him.
Yeah, striking fear into the hearts of criminals.
It was very like Zack Snyder-y, like when he like beats the shit out of that guy, and that's like the one point in that trailer I was like kind of like not on board with, where because it's like he like knocks down the guy, and then he like goes in again for like 2 more hits once he's down.
Oh, I love that.
And I was like,
yeah. It reminded me of the Netflix Daredevil in good ways. Because, like, I feel like that's what Batman would do. It also looks, that fighting style looked better cinematically than, like, the Krav Maga stuff that we got in Batman Begins. Like, it looked, I don't know, he looks more like
also,
angry.
That guy, that villain, looked like a possible Joker crony. Now looking at his makeup better, like, I looked at him.
Yeah, there's lots of interesting makeup choices on those gang members.
I think there's sorry. I think there's like a lot of this movie that kind of like reminds me of Tim Burton Batman in like really kind of cool ways, and it feels like it's a movie that kind of like picks like a little bit of the Nolan stuff, and it picks up a little of like the Burton stuff, and even like there's like some like little bits of Schumacher kind of like in there. And I think
it also
like
feels very 70s. Like I get a very 70s grime feel to it.
It feels like a Danny O'Neill Batman kind of like thing. And I think
I think Reeves said he was inspired by Chinatown. Was his biggest influence?
That makes sense.
And I think like that's like kind of a Batman film I'm like kind of like totally on board with.
Yeah.
But so okay, really quickly before we move on, I just want to point out that they did talk a little bit about the HBO Max police procedural drama series they were going to do.
That's where I was going to go.
Okay. Oh, great. Awesome. So yeah, it's going to be written by Reeves and Terrence Winter of Boardwalk Empire fame. It's going to be about the corruption and in Gotham City in the police department, and it takes place in year 1, not year 2. So this is a prequel to the movie,
which I think is a good idea to kind of do like
idea.
To world build the Gotham City that why Batman would
And it's from the
exist.
perspective of
Like,
a crooked cop in the GCPD, as I'm reading
Yeah.
here, which is a brilliant idea.
Yeah, and having the guy that worked on Boardwalk Empire works perfectly.
Yeah, so I'm very excited. That's like one more reason for me to want to go and get HBO Max.
Yeah, well, if you subscribe to Go or if you have HBO, you get HBO Max for free.
Which I have neither, so.
Okay. Sorry.
It's okay.
The other TV thing, just so we can like TV off the thing, is we got a little bit stuff from Sandman, the Netflix series, and basically that it's going to be present day, and it's going to be a little different, and that's kind of all we got.
Yeah, that's really the only thing. And then the other, I kind of hope, like thinking about it, like they're not going to do it, but if you imagine seeing like Tom Ellis's Lucifer in that series, because it's on Netflix as well. Yeah.
It'll be interesting because like that's season 5, the first part dropped this weekend, and I'm halfway through it. It's really good. And they're going deeper and deeper into the
lore,
like the world lore, without revealing too much.
All right.
So, cool. I just want to touch quickly on some of the other things before we jump in the games, because that's the other big part. So they're working on a Static Shock film in some way.
So they announced at the Milestone panel that they were going to take Milestone Media and branch it out into different kind of mediums. So they want to do. They've had a hit comic book. They've had a hit animated series. So they're talking about launching a new comic book series, a theatrical release, Static Shock animated film, podcasts, and like series stories on podcasts, which makes sense because DC just signed a deal to do those with Spotify. So that makes sense.
And of any time, like doing Milestone, which they're bringing back the comic book, which we already talked about in the comic show, but like the last one, it makes sense in this current era. And I love Static. He's an awesome character. And
I'm just saying, if you don't get Phil Lamar back in some way, that's a terrible mistake.
Yes. And I think we got the other Batman animated thing. Oh, sorry,
I think
John?
like also, I was going to just say, like, I think like also for like the success of like DC's like film line, I think like doing Static Shock is like I don't know, like a way more higher priority than like, I don't know, like
Gotham City Sirens or something like that, or that Jared Leto Joker spinoff.
Yeah, like I think like some of the other ideas that they've had in the past that have like kind of like come and gone. And I'm like someone who like really loved Birds of Prey and would really like to see a sequel to Birds of Prey or Gotham City Sirens, but like I think
so. Speaking of Birds of Prey, that screenwriter, she is writing the Flash movie. I forgot to add that before.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and I get what you mean, like, especially with like how well Shazam did, but like to do like a younger movie, but like specifically addressing like racial issues and having a black teenage hero and
that would be cool.
Dealing with all this stuff, because like if you go back and watch that show, like the intro to him is like he's going there to be an initiate into a gang. Is why he's there. He has a gun when the Big Bang or whatever they call it happens in the cartoon. I don't remember if that's his origin in the comics, but I would assume so.
And the guy who's helping run Milestone, Reggie Hudlin, he has done stuff like he's produced Django Unchained, he directed the Marshall Thurgood movie, he's did Static Shock, he wrote, I believe, the Black Panther 2010 run. If I'm thinking of that, no, I'm thinking of the miniseries, the motion comic one. That's what I'm thinking of.
Okay.
Have they like announced if they like what's the word for it? But basically, like come to terms on the wife of Dwayne McDuffie about like the Milestone stuff?
Well, they're bringing it back, so I'm assuming so. Like they already announced that they're bringing back the Milestone comic universe.
You would say that, but like also like she has like said in the past that she was like kind of like forced out of like a lot of the talks about rebooting Milestone, because like the reboot of Milestone is like not a new thing. Like there were talks about it like years ago.
Oh yeah, they sort of tried to do it in New 52 for a hot second.
But
and
like not even New 52. Like I'm talking about like a little bit afterwards. Like there were like talks that we're gonna like bring back like a whole Milestone universe, and then Dwayne McDuffie's widow like came out and said that she, because she had like, partial rights to like all that stuff, and that she was being forced out by DC and other creatives, and then like a lot of that stuff like just kind of like fell to the wayside. So like I'm just kind of like wondering if like all this new Milestone stuff is like that, the original creator like gave the okay, and it's like being
they're relaunching it in February of next year, so I'm assuming that we're far enough along what's happening. That's a yes.
Yeah.
Also, everybody being gone, like that entire like regime is kind of out of DC, so maybe that helped.
I was gonna say if she is or isn't, I'm pretty sure we'll hear about it in the next like week or two.
Yeah. So let's move on to I guess kind of the final thing, which is the 2 games that were shown and talked about.
Before we do that, I know we keep saying before. Do we want to go over the animated stuff?
Oh yeah, they announced the Batman Long Halloween movie,
2 parts.
The animated movie. Yeah, 2 parts.
They announced their entire. So they had today, which is Sunday the 23rd. They had the Superman Man of Tomorrow film panel, which was an extra IGN exclusive thing for Fandome, and they announced their entire slate for the DC animated movies for 2021. You're getting 2 original productions and 1 2-part adaptation. The first release is going to be Batman Soul of the Dragon, which is a 70s set original tale, executive produced by Bruce Timm. Big thing is that Michael J. White's coming back as Bronze Tiger, and Mark Dacascos is Richard Dragon.
Oh.
The other thing is
Justice. It's basically going to be Black Dynamite meets Batman.
Pretty much.
It's going to be a 70s exploitation film.
Yeah, it's a 70s exploitation.
That's like not a bad idea.
No, it's not.
And the next film is Justice Society World War II, which is an original story that's in the spring of 2021. Matt Bomer, who I guess is... Matt Bomer was the panelist, and he half-jokingly said, like, oh, hey, I might be in the movie, or you might hear a familiar voice from the Superman movie in there. So he's jokingly implying that he's in it, because I think he's in that movie. But the big news that came out is that they finally confirmed they're doing a Batman Long Halloween movie, which is getting a 2-part film adaptation in the vein of The Dark Knight Returns.
I don't know if you need 2 parts to do Halloween.
I guess part 1's coming out next summer, and the second part's coming out in next fall.
Yeah, the only thing I think of is that, like, making an hour and 20-minute or an hour and, like a significantly over an hour animated movie is pushing it. Maybe, like, for what they think people will absorb.
And I feel like a 2-part version makes more sense than a singular. Like, look at Hush. Killing Joke was already restricted by the fact that it's a short comic, but, like, Hush is a pretty big comic.
I think also the Killing Joke was restricted by like a lot of things, and then they added in shit that like didn't need to be in it.
Yes.
But so what's the deal with Man of Tomorrow? Like, is that just basically like Superman Year One?
So what I'm seeing as, because I've seen the trailer for it, it looks to be pretty inspired by American Alien.
Woof. Which I mean is a good comic, but it's like
Max Landis.
Yeah.
But I don't know if this is going to start a new continuity or not, given that the other one just ended. So I think it's going to. We'll see.
Yeah, I was going to actually say, is this the first...
the reboot.
Yes, I was going to say, is this the first new like DC animated thing like post the...
Post-Apocalypse War? Yeah.
Yeah. It says online the premise is chronicles the early life of Clark Kent before he became known as Superman.
And you have a pretty good lineup. You have Darren Criss as Clark Kent, Alexandra Daddario as Lois Lane, Zachary Quinto as Lex Luthor, which is great casting.
Wait, Lobo is in this movie?
Yeah. So again, American Alien.
Okay.
Voiced by Opie from Sons of Anarchy.
Yep.
So anyway, I just want to get that out of the quickly. Now we can talk about the games because I know.
I guess like one quick comic thing is that Oliver Copiel will be joining John Ridley on the new Batman project, which is like the Black Batman project.
Yeah, I didn't know it was gonna be a Black Batman. That's cool.
Yeah. I don't know if this is like I get the feeling this was like 5G stuff that may have been like retroactively being like I don't know fit into like another thing.
Yeah, because is it Duke? that was the 5G thing. It was going to be Signal Duke. I don't remember his last name.
But yeah, like whatever it is. I mean, like Oliver Copiel, really great artist. You know, I kind of be interested to know like kind of like what this project is like more as like we have like a release date and a kind of a basic description of what the book is. But it looks cool.
So our two games. So Suicide Squad and Gotham Knights.
Yeah, let's talk about Gotham Knights because it's the first one that's coming out.
Yes. So I'll first say it's been confirmed that it's not part of the Arkham universe. It is a new universe, which is weird because the other game is part of the Arkham universe.
But also, I feel like
the Suicide Squad game is part of the Arkham universe.
Yes.
Okay, that's very weird. Like I don't know why you just don't do like I feel like if any game was going to be like set in the Arkham universe, it's like this one.
Yeah, which is why they specifically said so. Like, it's kind of like following the ending of Arkham Knight, but also not really. And it's got a lot of interesting things. There's like co-op stuff. We have our 4 characters, which is like the main 4.
But it's a 2-player co-op multiplayer mode where you can drop in and out at any time without affecting the other player.
This was also this is done by WB Montreal, who previously worked on Batman Arkham Origins, which I know like I'm kind of the odd man out on the podcast where like I did not like Arkham Origins in a lot of ways.
Oh, I enjoyed it, but I understand why people wouldn't.
But I think this game looks really rad in a lot of ways.
I like that it's open world. I like the idea of the 4 different members of the Bat family. I like the idea that it gameplay wise, it looks heavily inspired by the Arkham series.
Yeah, from what we've been hearing, it's more like an action RPG. Like it's more like the newer Assassin's Creed games, and how you kind of like build up your character's skills and abilities and stuff.
So the basic also like I feel like we've like neglected to say it, but like basically the story of this game is that this is set in a world where Batman has died. He is dead.
And Jim Gordon is dead as well.
Oh, and Jim Gordon is dead. And basically Nightwing, Tim Drake Robin, I assume.
Yes, it is Tim Drake. They confirmed that.
Batgirl and Red Hood basically like kind of take up the reins to basically fill the role of Batman. The one like kind of like big scenario that we see is that Mr. Freeze makes a weather dominator type device to basically put Gotham into a deep freeze, and the gameplay trailer showed Batgirl. You can play as Batgirl. Like, I don't know if that means that you play as Batgirl during that one scenario, or you could choose the character you want for that scenario.
So the way they explained it, because there's like the playthrough thing, it seems like each of the 4 characters has their own plot, and then there are main plot specific missions.
Okay.
And so we don't know if you can only do missions with a certain side character and your character. Because like in that one, it's only her and Robin. Which also say like each character has like specific skill sets. So she has a motorcycle, she has a tonfa, she has like a bunch of tech gadgets. Robin is connected to the Justice League satellite and can short range teleport. Obviously Red Hood has a shit ton of guns, and Nightwing is I don't know, like we didn't see too much of him actually like combat wise. And the other big reveal is like all like, which was pretty much everybody knew was coming, but it looks cool as hell, as the Court of Owls shit,
which has been heavily teased for a while now. Yeah. So it's kind of cool. Which
also makes Mr. Freeze in this game make a ton of sense, since his technology was key in that storyline.
Yeah, and like it's like kind of like really funny because I don't want shit on Marvel for this thing, but and I understand that Gotham Knights, and we'll soon talk about like Suicide Squad, and like we'll talk about Gotham Knights because like that's like a game that actually has tangible gameplay footage. Like Suicide Squad didn't. But I think it's like very kind of like funny when you see like the approach of like Square Enix's Avengers game, and you look at like WB's Gotham Knights game, And I understand there are two completely different platforms. Like one's next gen, the other one's isn't. But at the end of the day, it's like Gotham Knights like looks like a revolutionary kind of like ahead of the curve kind of thing than what like Avengers is.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's also weird that they were trying to sell this part of their corporation 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that. And now look at it. Now they're like, their two games they have coming out are like two of the biggest talked about things out of the fandom. They're like, maybe we should definitely keep this.
Well, I'm also kind of surprised we didn't hear about Injustice at this convention.
Well, that was one of the things when it first started. A lot of people thought that the Suicide Squad game might be part of that universe until they actually revealed, I think it was in comments, that it's part of the Arkham universe.
No, director Sefton Hill came out and literally said, this is worked on by much of the team from the Arkham games. By the way, this takes place in the Arkham universe.
Yeah. So like it's not because it's not shown in the trailer. So I think we could transition to that game. We basically see like a full cinematic, and it's Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, Deadshot, who I guess is like inspired by Will Smith, and they're retconning in this game because Deadshot's in like all the other Arkham games, and King Shark, and he's kind of
Shark, played by Samoa Joe.
Yeah, and he's kind of a King Shark in between, he's in between the Apocalypse War and the Harley Quinn show. Like he's funny, but he's more murderous.
The James Gunn movie looks more like the Harley Quinn show. This is a mixture.
Yeah, and it's cool. Like it's interesting. Like Harley has a grappling hook, which makes sense, and Deadshot shooting, and King Shark's like a Hulk, and they haven't really explained what it is. A lot of people I've heard like comparisons. Maybe it might be like Left 4 Dead ish.
So from what I'm hearing is that it's going to be action adventure. You're going to have 4-player co-op multiplayer mode, but you can play it solo. And you can, when you play it solo, you can switch between characters at will, and the other characters are AI.
Okay. And I guess the big reveal, which we kind of knew from like all the stuff in the name Kill the Justice League, is that like it appears Brainiac has taken control of at least Superman, but probably the entire league, and that's why everything has gone to shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I really like the design of the Suicide Squad in this game. Like I think like we already talked about like King Shark, but I think Captain Boomerang looks really cool in this trailer.
Oh yeah, and Harley looks like Margot Robbie, like straight up.
I will say I did laugh really hard at the whole idea where they're all just looking at Superman after he just murders somebody or controls someone. It looks like, I'm not sure.
Oh no, he straight up he laser visions that dude to death.
I love that Captain Boomerang is like, all right, so who are we fighting? Who's the alpha target? And they all just like, they don't even say anything. They just point their fingers up. He's like, fuck.
Yeah, and like also this trailer has Bombs Over Baghdad by Outkast.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome. And like
also, they're fighting for Will Arnett, guys. Come on, they're fighting for Will Arnett's sake.
It's so weird that like, and I don't know how much more we want to talk about like fandom, but it's kind of funny that like the movies seem to be in a good place, and the games are in a really good place, and it's like, but yet we're coming off of, again, like 2 weeks ago they were selling the game company, and then they're firing everybody at the comics division, and all the shit that's like coming out about what's his name that played Cyborg, about like that they're investigating.
Now there's an official investigation.
Yeah, so it's like there's just like everything came out good with fandom following like a month of like a shitstorm at DC.
I said on Twitter, I said that this is the first time in a long time where I am excited for the next 2 years of DC in terms of comics, in terms of movies, video games. I have yet to see the TV shows. That's going to be on the 12th, I guess. So we'll wait and see.
Yeah, and I don't think we're getting anything that we don't already know about.
Well, I think we're getting all the stuff that we were supposed to get Saturday on the 12th. So
yeah, but I mean, like,
there's supposed to be a Harley Quinn panel. I'm hoping for a season 3 renewal by that point.
Yeah, well, and like, I guess maybe we'll get clarity on everything being moved permanently to HBO Max or /CW.
Hopefully, we'll find out more about HBO Max shows in general. Maybe.
Yeah. Because the only thing, like the Batman show, the other things they announced were movies, like way back when, right? The Green Lantern thing was supposed to be a movie.
Yeah, now it's a show, and the Justice League Dark that Abrams is doing,
which we've gotten nothing about. So yeah, because like we know the CW shows. I guess like it'll be talks about Batwoman because that's the one that's the most.
I guess they had a Flash
change.
panel which I didn't see, and the only thing I heard about was Titan season 3 is going to have Jason Todd become Red Hood.
Oh, that's cool. I will eventually get there to season 2. But yeah, is there anything else? I think we covered like a ton. There was so much to talk about.
We covered every base.
Yeah, and there's going to be more, as like you said, they're doing more kind of events, and hopefully the other companies learn to like, this is kind of how you do it. And it's, again, weird to say like Warner Brothers did it right.
I was going to say there's actually one piece of like kind of like major Marvel news that got announced.
Oh.
Kieran Gillen and Todd Rivik will be doing Eternals starting in November.
Oh, a comic, yes. Yeah, the comic book.
Yeah, comics. Whatever. Fuck.
Yes.
Comics.
Well, as opposed to that, the movie, I guess it makes sense that like they're going to do a comic book because they have to get people to be aware of these characters.
Sure. But I feel like if you're going to get like anyone to do like Eternals comic in a modern day, and you're not going to be able to get Neil Gaiman, like Kieran Gillen's like a good second place.
Yeah. So I guess that kind of does it for us. This is a slightly shorter mini episode, only about like an hour, and we are going to next time watch The Mask of Zorro. So I guess we'll check you guys out next time.
We'll see y'all soon, and remember, Connor Irving loves you.
So I guess I'll join the critics Avengers. They offered me a membership, so I did accept. No, they were walking to disaster. I find it hard to go to something that cannot be sold, cause they're the worst shoes of all time. It's remarkable they ever stop a crime. Sitting full time with 3 beer in line, so I guess I'll stick around.